Hi, people. I hope you all have celebrated Halloween in India. Yes, of course, this is what has been happening. I hear all my friends who live in the apartments tell me that their doorbells were ringing non-stop on the day of Halloween. I was wondering, why didn't we celebrate Halloween? Because we did not have it in our culture at all. But then there were stories that were told to us when we were children that scared us so much, that were like all the Halloween stories that people keep telling now. But then, way back then, those were the stories. And do you know how old these stories are? They are at least 2500 years old. It was written by a Mahakavi, Somaya Bhatt, if I'm right, and there were 25 stories in them. And you know who told the stories? That is where the scariest part lay. The stories were told by a ghost to a king. Ah! Exactly. That is how I felt when my grandfather told this to me. When I was about 10 years old or even younger, 7, 8 years old, that was when I got introduced to these stories because I remember I was very scared of ghosts. All my cousin brothers and my brother, they used to tease me so much because I was very much scared of ghosts. And we all, when we get together as cousins in during summer holidays, invariably there was the CD shop next to us, next to our door, a video shop, I should say, a rental video shop where we used to rent movies and watch in the afternoons. And that is when sometimes my brothers got these scary ghosts movies, and I used to be really scared, terrified. And my grandfather would be scolding on all my cousin brothers that why do you have to make her so scared. But then there was a different perspective to all this when he told me these stories, the stories that were told by a ghosts to the king. I sat like that and watched him. What was it? How was it even possible? And who was that king? I was very curious. By now, I'm sure you would have guessed. His name was King Vikramaditya, and he ruled the kingdom of Ujjain. He was a very nice, brave, fearless, just a very well loved king by his subjects. And every day there would be somebody coming to his court and gifting him something. And this king would receive all the gifts and keep it very safely because he believed that it was his people's way of showing love to him. So even the smallest gift that he got, he would take and keep it very safely. Now there was this person, one mendicant, who was all the time coming and gifting the king one fruit, just a fruit. And this king would take the fruit and he would call his storekeeper and ask him to store the fruit very carefully. Huh? Because every day, maybe the first day, he just took it and kept it inside. But this person was coming every day. And one day, when the king was about to get the fruit, it just fell down and the fruit broke open, and from inside came a very precious gem. And now the king got very curious. He called the storekeeper immediately and he said, "Where are the other fruits that I had given you?" He said, "I have stored it inside." And when they went and broke that open, every fruit had a precious gem in it. It was then the king got a little curious. This guy is not an ordinary man. He looks like a yogi, but he's not an ordinary man. Call him. And when they called him, he said, "I'm a mendicant and I would talk to you only if you come to you on the night of Amavasya to the graveyard where there is this banyan tree, and it is there I will talk to you, and you will have to come alone during midnight when the clock strikes 12." Now, King Vikramaditya was a person who was not at all scared, very brave heart, and so he went there on Amavasya day, brave. The whole place was really airy. He could hear the sounds. Ow! All these was there. But then, with his sword in his hand, Vikramaditya was walking straight past to the banyan tree that he was asked to come to. And there was this mendicant sitting and said, "Ha! Yes, of course. Yes, of course. You are a brave heart. Now, let me tell you something. If you go to the southern part, and some story says it is the northern part of the graveyard, there is this tree, and in that tree lies a corpse. I want you to get that corpse for me because I'm going to sit on the corpse and perform a ritual that would give me all the powers in this world. And my dear king, I know you would not refuse because you are the right person for it. And you would definitely be kind enough to do this for me for all the good things that I have done for you." And what do you think was the good thing? He had given him the precious gem. And the king found bound to this request, even though he was a king, that he had given him something, made him want to return the favor. And so he agreed. And moreover, it was a challenge to his bravery, you know. And so Vikramaditya said, "I will get you the corpse. Come what may. I will not return until I take the corpse and come with you." And so he proceeded towards the corner that the mendicant mentioned to him. There on the tree, when everything else was dark, there was this flash of lightning coming, and he could see a corpse lying there. There was a snake that was slithering on the trunk of the tree, the eyes of the owl that was as scary, that would scare anybody out of their wits. But then he stood there despite all the scary things that was there around him and was heading towards the corpse. Ow! Ow! He wasn't disturbed by even the slightest sound. He went there, he picked the corpse, he put it on his shoulders, and started walking towards the mendicant. Now, how would you feel if you're carrying a corpse on your shoulders and suddenly the corpse gets up, looks into your face, and says, "Hello"? I would scream the hell out of me. But this is what my grandfather said, the corpse said to the king. He just got up and said, "So you are the king that wants to take me to the mendicant? Hmm. I'm not such an easy catch, you know, King Vikram. Let me tell you something. I will be bound to you. I will come with you if you are not able to answer the questions that I'm going to ask you. But when I'm going to ask you a riddle, and if you knew the answer to the riddle, and if you don't say it, then I would burst your head into 1,000 pieces. But if you knew the riddle, and if you speak out, then I would fly and get back to the banyan tree again. If you agree to this, my dear king, you can take me and walk. Now that is a fair option that I'm giving you, said the Vetal or the corpse. Now King Vikram could not refuse. He said, "All right, tell what is the riddle." But then he said, "I'm not going to tell you the riddle just like that. I'm going to tell you a story because the longest way that we are going to do it's going to be so boring. Let me tell you a story. Listen carefully, King Vikram. But at the end of the story, there will be a riddle. Let me remind you the rules again. If you do not know the answer to the riddle, my dear King Vikram, I will come with you to the mendicant. But if you speak out, if you tell the answer to the riddle, I would fly up back to the tree that I was. If you knew the answer and you refused to say, my dear king, I will see to it that your head breaks into 1,000 pieces. All right, tell me, start the story. King Vikram was eager. Earlier, there was a test to his bravery. Now, there is a test to his intelligence. How could he say no? Yes? So now the Vetal started off with this story. Very, very long time ago, my dear king, there was this king just like you who was very just, who always, always said yes to all his subjects, provided whatever they asked was right. Every time he judged something, he always made sure that he consulted with so many other ministers and gave the right judgment. But now the story goes on like this, is what he said. Now give me a minute. I will have to go and plug on my laptop. It's running a little low on battery. No, I think it is okay. Thank you so much. And then the Vetal said, now in this king's court, people used to walk in just like that and ask the king and tell the king their worries, and he would be listening to them with open ears. And that day there was a merchant who walked into the king's court, and he said he was an old man, and along with him were two other young men. He said, my dear king, these two men, young men, handsome young men who are standing next to me are my sons. Both of them have special talents, and I am a merchant in your kingdom. But I have come to you here today because I am going through a very tough period in my business. And I need money, and nobody is ready to lend me money to make my business grow. And that is why I'm here next to you, my dear king. I'm begging you to lend me a loan of 500 gold coins, and I would repay the loan to you, please. And let me tell you, these children of mine, the young, handsome men that you see, are blind. But they have hidden talents inside them that nobody knows. My elder son is well versed in knowing horses, and my younger one, he could just find out if any jewel is real or not. Now please help us. We i do have these children with me, but they cannot help me now. Please give me this loan of 500 gold coins, and I will repay you the loan in 6 months. Now the king was asking me, I understand that you are in trouble, but as a just king, I'm ready to give you the loan. But how do I know you will repay the loan in 6 months' time? What is the surety? And then the man said, you can keep my two sons here with you. They have great knowledge, and they will be here with you until I repay the loan. And you can make use of their skill for anything that you need. The king found it was fair enough, and so the merchant left his two sons, and he took the loan of 500 gold coins and left to his place. Now, just after the merchant left, came in a person who claimed himself to be a horse trader. And he said, oh, my dear majesty, I am coming before you. My name is Ashwata Kumara, and I have brought you the best horse ever, the one fine black Arabian horse that you would never ever see. And I thought it would be ideal for me to give that to your majesty first before selling it or taking it to the market, because I'm so sure this horse needs to be in this kingdom only, he said. Oh, is that so? Now, can I examine your horse with my experts? Of course, of course. That is why I'm here. I want to sell that Arabian horse only to you, said Ashwata Kumara. And so the king called the first son, the blind first son. And when he came in and examined the horse, he knew immediately something about the horse. And he looked at the king and he said, yes, of course, my dear majesty, this is indeed an Arabian horse. And the horse trader was smiling. Yes, yes, yes. See, I told you. But This horse is some horse which would not let anybody ride on him. He would definitely push the rider down because he's not a tamed horse, is what he said. But the man who brought the horse said, no, 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 it is not possible because this is the very obedient and very faithful horse that I have seen. So please, please do not listen to this blind man. How do you think he will be able to tell about the horse? But then the king said, no, wait, please wait. I will have my best rider ride this horse and see a rider who can control any horse. Are you okay with that? Yes, of course I am. And so the rider was called. He sat on the horse, and as he was trying to ride, the horse pushed him down. How many ever times the rider tried, the horse did not let him sit. And then he asked a question. Now, you tell me the truth. Are you a horse trader? But before he could answer, the young man, the blind young man, the elder son, he said, no, he's a milkman. Am I right? Of course, you're right. How did you know that I was a milkman? You was a milkman, but now you got into horse trading. Am I right? Yes, that's because I can smell milk in your clothes. I'm sure you did give milk to your customers even today morning, didn't you? Yes, of course, but I'm not getting into too much of milk business now. You see, I'm getting into horse trading. And this horse is quiet and calm to you because you have seen this horse right from when it was a baby, isn't it? Yes, you're right. These horses' parents, they're with you too. That's right. And that is why he seems to be a faithful and a nice horse to you. But he is not the one that you could come and bring and sell him here. And so the milkman took the horse and went away. The king was very happy. And then he called out to the first son and said, of course, you do have a special talent. What your father said is true. And then after a few days came in a diamond merchant with a precious diamond. And he said, now this is something I have for your majesty only, because this is the most precious diamond and I would want to give it to you and not anybody else. And the king asked, now there are so many other merchants in this kingdom. I'm sure everybody would be eager to get that. Why would you not want to give it to them? That is because, Your Majesty, I think this diamond fits only you. It would be really nice if you could have it on your crown. His smile was a little sheepish. The king could notice it, but not the second son, because as I told you, he was visually impaired. But then he called out to the son and said, can you please examine this diamond and let me know if it is good? And one touch is all was required for the son. He said, yes, of course, it is a very precious gem. But then it is something that would not bring luck any person that has this diamond. That is why this person is not able to sell this diamond anywhere. And that is why he does not want to keep this diamond to himself. Is that right? Yes, of course, Your Majesty. I'm very sorry about that. It's okay. I'll take it back with me, said the merchant and left. The king was very happy. Of course, I have two great talents. I can make use of them. And he was keeping them with him, and they helped him in many ways for 6 months until the father returned with the 500 gold coins that he had taken as a loan from the king. And when he gave it to the king said, you were right. Your sons are indeed very, very clever. I'm sure that as their father, you should be having a very nice talent too. Tell me what is yours, I would like to know. And the man said, you are true. What you're saying is true. I do have a talent. I could just look into a person's face and tell him about his past, tell him about his parents. Oh, that's interesting. In that case, can you tell me about my father? Of course I can. And then he looked at the king's face for a while, but then his face fell. Do you really want me to tell your majesty? Yes, of course, I would like to hear. You are the son of a thief, your majesty. Your father was a thief, and you were called a thief's son when you were growing, and you did not like that, your majesty. Stop it there! The king screamed, and he looked at everyone, his court members who were shell shocked, and he just ordered the soldiers to walk in and he said, take away this old man and take away these two visually impaired people, put them in this cell, and tomorrow we are executing them. This is my order. The man was standing there perplexed. He said, what did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? But then they were dragged away to the cell, and the next day they were executed. Now, King Vikram, here is the question for you. Why do you think the man was executed? Do you think the man told the truth? If he did tell the truth, why was he executed? If you tell the answer to this question, then I will fly back to the tree. If you know the answer to the question, and if you're not telling it, your head will burst into 1,000 pieces. And if you say that you don't know the answer to this question, then I surrender to you and I come with you to wherever you take me, said the Vetal. Now, Vikramaditya was a very, very clever, intelligent, whatever you may call it, king. And so he knew the answer and he could not keep quiet because otherwise his head will burst into 1,000 pieces. And so he was forced to tell the answer. And he said, of course, the man was right. The old man was right. What he said is true. The king's father was indeed a thief. And the king did not like to hear it because he was now a king. And he did not want anybody else to know that his father was a thief. The truth was bitter to his ears, and that is why he executed him. But why do you think he was executed? That is because it was something that his actions brought to the old man. He needed to know what to speak where, and that he did not know, maybe. You could say that this was a punishment to his own actions. Ah, bravo, 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 Vikram. Of course, you are the most intelligent person that I have ever met. And so, according to what I said, the Vetal flew away to the tree. This was the story that my grandfather told me, and I was so fascinated by the ghost telling stories to a king. And I was waiting for him to tell me all the stories. And do you know how many stories were there? They say there were 25 stories in all. It was called Betal Pachisi, meaning that there were 25 stories in the series. And I know for sure that on the 25th day, the Betal went back with the king because he knew something about the mendicant that the king did not know. But if I say that the Vetal went back with the king, does it mean that Vikram did not know the answer to the riddle, the 25th riddle? Yes, he did not know the answer to the 25th riddle. But was it so difficult? What were the other stories? I know all these questions are running in your mind now. And that is what exactly we need. If we telling you a story is creating a spark in your mind, and that is going to make you go and find more about this, then what we are doing is right, is what we feel. That is what Talescope's objective is about also. So thank you so much for watching. But let me give you a clue about that 25th riddle. Now, when I was a little kid, no, my grandfather used to ask us riddles, not the regular riddles, but there were also some, very jolly type of riddles that we used to play, which I now play with my children. Like we used to ask the relationship between people. Like, for example, I have a brother and a sister. So this is one riddle that I used to ask. I mean, my grandfather used to ask me something which is on these lines. Okay, so it goes like this: who is your sisters, brothers, ammas, husbands, wives, second daughters, elder sister? And it's very, very nice and funny. My children love these kind of riddles, and this is also the clue to the 25th story that Vikram heard and did not know the answer to. Now, there is another very important riddle which is similar to this that I would want to leave you with. Okay, so break your head and see if you can find it and leave the answers in the comments. So, this is it. One truth about my family, okay, and that is the riddle. If my mother is my first cousin and my father is my brother in law, which they are, okay, my mother is my first cousin and my father is my brother in law, then who is my maternal grandmother to me? Now, see if you can answer this. And this is something similar on these lines, is what the 25th riddle is all about. Now, I know that I have created enough curiosity inside your minds to go and read more about Vikram or Vetal. Thank you so much for watching this Dandanaka series, edition 8. Without you, we are not here. So, if you really like what we are doing, I request you all to consider subscribing to this channel and also spread the joy. If you really like this session, please share the videos with your friends and relatives and tell them that there is something happening like this in our YouTube channel every first and the second Saturday of the month. The first Saturday we have English storytelling series, and the second Saturday is Enron Rakada, where we tell stories in Tamil. So thank you so much, guys. I know you would have enjoyed. So this is how our Halloween was. We listened to stories like this and grew up. Mm, go tell your stories, go tell your children all these stories and enjoy. I know it's a long weekend, you'll be having plans, but take time to find more about Vikram or Vetal and spread happiness. Ta-ta.